The first morning after retirement arrived without ceremony. No alarm, no uniform waiting on the chair, no schedule demanding his attention, just silence. The kind of silence that feels unfamiliar when you've lived your life inside engines, radios, and constant motion. He woke up before sunrise, out of habit. For a moment, he lay still, listening. No hum of traffic outside a hotel window. No distant announcements echoing through terminals. No checklist running automatically in his head. The ceiling above him didn't move. Time didn't rush him. And for the first time in decades, the sky didn't need him. He sat up slowly and swung his feet onto the floor. The room felt larger than it should have. His uniform hung neatly in the closet, untouched, pressed, perfect. It no longer belonged to today. He made coffee and stood by the window, watching the world wake up without him. Planes crossed the sky in the distance, thin white lines cutting through blue. He followed one instinctively, then stopped. He wasn't on it. The realization landed softly, but firmly. For years, his identity had been clear. Captain, pilot, responsible for lives. Now, none of those titles were required. The sky had let go. He stepped outside later that morning, walking aimlessly through his neighborhood. Neighbors waved. Some congratulated him. Enjoy retirement. You earned it. Must feel good to finally rest. He smiled politely. Rest wasn't the problem. Purpose was. Days passed, slowly, painfully. He cleaned things that didn't need cleaning, organized drawers already in order, watched news he didn't care about. At night, he dreamed of flight. Not storms, not emergencies, just routine flights. The kind that used to bore him. He'd wake up reaching for controls that weren't there. Silence greeted him instead. The house felt heavier after sunset. He missed the rhythm of airports, the constant forward motion. Stillness made him restless. One afternoon, he found himself driving toward the airport without realizing it. Old instincts, muscle memory. He parked farther away than he ever had before. Walked to the fence. Different fence. Newer. Stronger. Children stood nearby, faces pressed against the metal, eyes wide with wonder. He recognized the look instantly, the same one he once had. A boy pointed excitedly as a plane took off. "Did you see that?" the boy shouted. The pilot nodded. "Yes," he said quietly. "I did." The child ran back to his parents. The pilot stayed, watching, listening, feeling something tighten in his chest. He wasn't jealous. He was empty. At home that evening, he opened a box he hadn't touched in years. Old flight logs, photos, badges, a life measured in hours and miles. He ran his fingers over the pages. Each entry represented responsibility, pressure, trust. Now, they were memories. He wondered if he had given too much to the sky, or if the sky had simply taken what it needed. Weeks passed. Friends checked in less often. The congratulations faded. The world assumed he had adjusted. But adjustment isn't automatic when your identity disappears. One morning, he tried something different. He left the house early, not for the airport, for a small flight school on the edge of town. He didn't know why. Curiosity, maybe. Or instinct refusing to die quietly. Inside, The smell of fuel and coffee mixed with nervous energy. Young students moved between classrooms and hangars. Some laughed. Some looked terrified. One student sat alone in the back row, notebook open, staring out the window toward the runway. The pilot noticed immediately. That look again, not confidence, focus. He sat quietly in the back and noticed, listened to instructors explain procedures he could recite in his sleep, but something was different. These students weren't chasing schedules, they were chasing belief. During a break, one of the instructors approached him. "Can I help you?" they asked politely. "I used to fly," the pilot replied. The instructor's eyes widened slightly. "Used to?" Yes, they talked, briefly, casually. But the instructor listened carefully. Before the pilot left, the instructor asked something unexpected. "Would you like to come back sometime, just to talk to the students?" The pilot hesitated. The sky had let go, but maybe he didn't have to let go of everything. That night, sleep came easier. Not because he had answers, but because he had direction. He returned to the flight school the following week, stood in front of a small group of students. No uniform, no badge, just experience. He didn't give a speech, didn't preach. He told stories about fear, about mistakes, about responsibility, about silence. The students listened, really listened. Afterward, the quiet student from the back row approached him. "Do you ever miss it?" the student asked. The pilot paused. "Yes," he said honestly, "every day." "Then why did you stop?" The pilot thought carefully. "Because flying isn't just about being in the sky," he said. "It's about knowing when to land." The student nodded, not fully understanding yet, but someday they would. Walking home that evening, the pilot looked up at the sky. Planes still crossed overhead, but they didn't feel like loss anymore. They felt like continuation. The sky hadn't abandoned him. It had released him. So he could carry something else now. Not passengers, but perspective. Purpose doesn't always roar like engines. Sometimes it whispers. And for the first time since retirement, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt earned.